The daughter of John Phillips, Bijou Phillips, is right over here. Hey, baby. How are you? Okay. Oh, gosh. Four young girls. That's cool. Okay. All right, girls, let's dish. Because we all want to know what it's like to be the daughters of rock stars. And I'm not one. So I have to ask you the questions. And the first thing I want to ask you is, I've asked this a lot of baby boomers, this question about, what do you tell your kids? Because baby boomers, they did a lot of drugs, and they had a lot of premarital sex, and they had a lot of premarital sex when they were on a lot of drugs. So, I don't know what you're going to tell your kids. You can answer me that, or you can tell me what your parents told you when you were growing up, when they told you, and what they told you. I'm very curious.
I'd say, my parents, my dad wrote a book about, all of his drug abuse, and, it's just sort of known. So
an actual book, or you mean he wrote the book?
He wrote the book and an actual book. And so it's kind of like,
he kind of did write the book on drug abuse.
Yeah, he can't really tell me not to do anything or, what to do or anything, so it's more like a... Also, when you do drugs like that, you're not an adult. Apparently, you're emotionally the age you were when you started doing drugs, so that'd be like, I'd say, 14, so like a 14-year-old and a 14-year-old,
14 is when you started doing drugs?
Yeah, I'd say, and so he's sort of 14.
What held you back?
And it's like, it's more like friends. They can't really,
The best thing to do is to be honest, because if you're honest, then they can learn from your mistakes. Your parents can learn,
what? And were they?
Yeah.
If your parents tell you, I did this, I did that, I did whatever.
Well, how old were you
totally
and what did they say?
Well, my dad necessarily didn't do that much drugs, and I've never been into drugs, so it hasn't been a discussion with me and him, so.
My mom and dad, they always told me when I was growing up.
Now, your dad did drugs.
Yeah, he did. He did, but it was mostly my mom saying to me, Leah, you can do what you want. Right? We're not going to stop you, but do it in moderation, And it's like I've experimented with drugs, that I have, but, I have no care for them, really. I have no care for them.
Yeah, it's like I never really could get that into drugs because, the only book in our house was the big book because everyone had been to rehab so many times. And,
You're the guest book in your house.
I know, it was everywhere. All of my sisters are, in the program. It's like everybody... So it was never really an issue for me because I knew so much about it and what it does to a person over a long period of time, just close-up watching, that I never felt a need to do it. I was just like, ew, I don't want to live like that. So really the best
way to stop your kids from doing drugs is to do a lot of drugs.
Yeah, I think that's when you do drugs, Exactly. I think that's
fantastic advice. I think we're helping people here on the Thanksgiving holiday.
The other thing, though, is that...
Sally, what about I know James Taylor saw fire and rain just within his eyelids. What about you?
I think the important thing to do is to basically inform your kids and also tell them about what your experience was so that when they do decide to experiment with them, which they inevitably will, then they can say, okay, well, my dad's been through this or my mom's been through this. I can call them up and tell them what I'm going through, And so there's not so much hiding. There's not,
I tried heroin once, and I did it for 3 days straight, and I called my dad and went to rehab for a month afterwards, never did it again. But it was I could call my dad and tell him, God,
I was wondering where I could get some of that.
You could probably...
I was I'm scared, this happened, what do I do? And he's sent me to a doctor, and then I went to rehab, and it's never been an issue since then. And also,
that's a touching story. that is, I'll tell you, I don't know if you're eating that leftover turkey, but wow. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's better that you get this stuff over with when you're young and strong enough to recover from it? You do?
I don't know.
Again, good advice for the kids. Parents do a lot of drugs. Kids, start with them early.
But I don't think we're good. Don't take this as an example on how to do drugs or not.
Because you're not
it's
typical.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we all probably had very different situations. Different experimental times and when they started, don't you? Not that I've ever tried drugs, because I haven't. I'm lying.
Anyway.
We'll take a commercial and then save everybody's bacon right now. Who's got to do it? You two are like at each other there. What's you must be
We
friends.
love each other.
Ah, prove it. All right. I kid the daughters of rock stars.
I know Sally before that.
Yeah, we've known each other.
Exactly my point. All right. As somebody here was saying, you know, you're not typical, and that's true. And you're all, I think you're all in the recording industry.
No, I'm not.
You're not. You're in the fashion industry.
Yes, lucky.
No, I can't.
So, you know, whenever there are second-generation people in show business, they always say, well, you know, it's harder for us in a way, which always makes me laugh.
It's not harder. It is. I don't believe that at all.
No,
I think,
it's not.
Can I just, like, if it wasn't for, like, who my dad was, like, I got so much press on my first record, and it was all because of that, and it totally helped me, like, it totally helped me get my, like, not like I sold any records, but, you know.
Yeah, it really helped you a lot.
The press I got a lot of press for my record. I mean, yeah, it got out there, like, people knew about it, and, like, you know, the few people that bought it liked it, you know. I think. They say that, but, you know.
It's something to build on.
Yeah, I mean, and also the other thing is, like, you know, my dad's a songwriter, and I'm a songwriter, and I love writing music, and it's what I do, and you know, it's, like, so important to me, and sometimes I feel like that I'm not as credible because of who he is, that, you know, because I write, it's not, I don't know that it's not original, you know?
I think it's harder.
It's a little, it's harder as far as
Yeah.
songwriting, but it's not as harder as far as getting it out there. It's harder to be, like,
right, people
respected.
say, you know, you get, well, it helps you get your foot in the door.
Yeah,
and I always
it
say,
does
well,
you have to
to a certain
prove yourself.
extent. It
But
does,
you totally have to prove
but
yourself.
you've totally got to get the respect
But
that you want
opportunities are not necessarily opportunities. You know, you know, you walk into the door and somebody says, "Oh, sign this record contract."
But you don't
and
do
that,
anything. What'd you
no,
do?
no,
You did something really cool, right?
Yes, I did something really cool. No, I just what I decided to do is do it independently and not sign a record contract, which is thank you, Bijou. Oh, thank you, praise me. Yeah, so the purpose of it mainly is just so that I learn this stuff myself, and you know, if I just sort of jumped into a record contract, I wouldn't know half of what I do about running a record business, you know. I mean, now that I know everything about running a record business, I just, you know, I think there's a lot to learn in that, and also to be able to create yourself and to create who you want to be as a musician. I think is really important.
But do you agree with that? That it's harder, because
I don't think it's. I think it's harder to decipher the opportunity from what is. Just sort of a facade, you know. It's something that, you know, somebody hands you a record deal and says this is a deal, and you look at it and you go, well, this is highway robbery, you know. I mean, that's what it looks like.
I mean, lots of people would love to be highway robbed, and in the record industry at all.
See, that's the thing. You know, having watched both my parents do this, I feel like I have enough. I know what they did and what they went through, and so I know what I want to do. Yeah, I know what to expect and what not to take, you know, what to sort of...
But I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about just getting there. I mean, when people say, you know, well, sure, it gets you in the door, my answer is always, yeah, but, you know, in show business, getting in the door is about 90% of it.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people could actually do the work.
Well,
it's not that difficult.
There's so many people
That's the big dirty secret you don't know.
They can't get in the door and make records. They're so talented.
I mean, I go to every backstage that I get to, it's all the stickers on the wall, you know, are like thousands and thousands of talented bands who are out there and never have a voice.
Yeah.
So if I can speak to any of that, you know, if I can make that available or accessible, you know, and if I can, you know, help create that, that's what I
mean, like Elton John Jr. No.
Not like that,
no.
Barry Manilow's kid. Where would he be today?
Oh my God.
Am I wrong about that?
I don't think that I've had an easier time necessarily, but it has, you know, people come to the show and they're like, oh yeah, I may as well check it out.
What do you think about when Tori Spelling said that she auditioned under a fake name and nobody knew who it was?
Oh, come on.
Tori Spelling, like, like the only way she could get on television.
I noticed the camera wouldn't go on you while you were
Yeah, do it again. Do it
making me master. All right, that's all I wanted to see. We'll take a break. These dance maneuvers. I owe the 60s. Right, like you ever came up with something better since. Anyway, okay. I mean, why do you think you still do the 60s stuff? Why?
Because, well, there's the Running Man. There's the Running Man. The Roger Rabbit. The Roger, can you do it?
Dude, totally. Come on. I'm not going to do it now.
Come on, Cam.
Yeah.
No, you do it. No, that's your
All
job.
right, calm down.
Okay,
Hey,
crazy.
girls. Come on. Daddy has a question. Okay. Tell me about the way your parents raised you, what your fathers said to you when you were kids, because, I mean, nowadays, I think parents are so all over their kids, showering them with, you know, I love yous, that the kids...
Hey, that's okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Every 2 seconds?
No, I don't think that's
Well, not literally every 2
And
seconds.
Really?
It's consistent. I just think that if there's an inconsistency, if somebody says, you know, I love you so much, but then, you know, beats you about the head, breast, neck, and face area, then it can be very detrimental, I think, that can be, because it's confusing. But if you're, you know, if you really do feel like you love your kids so much and you have to say it every 2 minutes, like my parents did, which was great, then, you know, you end up extremely pompous like me.
I think it's good for parents to kind of egg on, you know, their kids, say, you know, come on, you're doing great in this.
But not over the top. I think it
But
gives
what
them...
about if they're not doing great?
Them.
I mean, now...
Then don't say it.
Well, that's what we have today. We have a lot of compliments for doing nothing. You know, if a kid walks across the room without falling down, he gets a trophy.
But that's, yeah, and they feel like that's a false reality. Like they think they can conquer the world, and I don't think it's right. I think there should be like a balance. Like
We got to keep them down.
yeah.
No. We have to keep them down.
But it's everybody's interpretation. It's not necessarily your version of what's great, but
My dad
maybe...
was really tough with me. He was really like, you know, like nothing pleases him.
Well, I don't think that's right, but there should be an in between.
Right. My mom was really loving, but then yeah, she was like one of those like parents that like isn't healthy about things. Like she'd get drunk and she'd be like, "You're illiterate," and you're like,
Wait a second. She'd get drunk and say you're illiterate and dyslexic?
Bijou, that's the truth.
"Oh God,
It's the truth. See, that's the thing.
Do that again.
When it's true.
Anyway, no wonder you were driven to a 3-day, one-time-only heroin binge.
No, but it's okay because I conquered.
Yeah,
I
you did. You
above it.
prevailed.
I
You
did.
prevailed, but you are dyslexic and illiterate.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because I'm a musician, so it doesn't affect my daily life.
I mean,
You're
wait.
dyslexic and illiterate? Well, why are you illiterate? You never went to school?
I got pulled out in 5th grade.
What did you do, girl?
Wait a second. You're telling me you can't read?
No, I can read. I can read, but I can't spell everything.
I just spell everything backwards.
So Bijou.
Hey, speaking of
what I
legacies,
have
do you
to.
know George W. Bush? Because you have a lot in common there. Wait a second. Famous father. Hello. Got in the door.
You call your daughter
Can't
illiterate.
really read.
Can't really read.
I'm just kidding. What do you mean I'm just kidding? You were the one who brought it up.
No, I know. No, you brought it up.
You asked for it.
You did
What?
that.
I brought it up?
Yeah.
I said, hey, read this.
Yeah. No, I can read. I read all the time. But I just didn't get like an amazing, I didn't like graduate high school. I didn't, you know, get to do any of that kind of stuff.
Oh, well, if you're going to be picky about education, that's okay. You know, lots
But
of
I
people.
wanted to.
Can you spell expialidocious? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. I was
Yes,
That's true.
Okay, so what were we talking about?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Did you ever say to your dad, hey, why does Uncle Keith fall down so much?
No, he was always a bit crazy. But I kind of got used to it.
I was telling Leah that when I grew up, there was this picture on the mantle of my dad and her dad kissing. And for so long, I thought my dad was gay and that was his lover. And I just told her that today, that that's what I thought.
He's not gay.
This is a wonderful holiday. We got to take another break. We'll be right back.